Welcome back to Book Club Preview. I'm Michael, and today we're looking at Life of Pi, Chapter 4, 5, and 6. And Chapter 4 starts off with Mr. Patel, who we learn later on is changed his name to Pi, from Poissine Montiel Patel, I think. And he's talking about this new area that becomes a zoo. So I guess it's his country or his territory, Pondicherry. They become part of India, and as they become part of India, this area opens up with some extra government funding to become some business project, which I believe his dad takes over to create a zoo, and it's eventually called Zootown. And the way that Pi describes it, okay, we learn Pi in chapter 5, but it just sounds like the most amazing place. And as he's describing it, he's talking about like different flowers, different animals, and some of these words you might not know as he's talking about them, or the plants or the fruit. I could describe these things to you, but it would be much easier to just do an image search. Okay, there are dozens of different words I could be talking about that's just an image. This animal, this fruit that I can't really describe. But the way he describes it, oh, it's so beautiful. And, he talks about as you go in, before you even pay, there's like already some jungle feeling, and you look up and there's some giraffes, or you look over there, there's some monkeys, and then you go in and you pay money, right? You've already kind of seen like, oh my goodness, there's rhinos, there's lions. I mean, there's all these different animals. You go in and it sounds pretty magical as he talks about Zootown. Now, he goes in and he's like, look, I'm going to be honest. Zoos nowadays, this is Mr. Patel. It's like they got a bad reputation. Most people look at the animals in the zoo and they think, "Oh, that poor creature. If only that creature could be free again." He says, "Well, let me flip that, because if you think about it, going out into the wild, you're hungry. Things are trying to eat you. You're trying to eat things." You have to protect your land. You have to protect your family. There's all sorts of problems going on here. But if you look at a zoo, well, oh man, you're in like the Ritz-Carlton. You're in like the Hilton Hotel. People come in and they clean it for you. They bring food to you. There's a doctor to see you at any time you want. And he's like, zoo is pretty awesome. And he even goes a little step deeper and he says, actually, if you think about it, for an animal, all they want is, I'm going to use the word predictability. Something that is normal, that is always the same, a standard, unchangeability. It could be another way to say it. In their area, they want their territory, okay, and maybe they make some scent on the edges so they know that's theirs. And they know that if anything comes in there, they're going to fight them. But if something stays on the outside, then it's okay. So we want the animal to stay in with walls, but the animal makes a scent barrier around that wall telling us to stay out. And it ends up being the same boundary that the animal can call home. And animals care more about home than maybe humans do. And he gives some examples of, like a monkey, the gatekeeper or the caregiver, they didn't lock the gate, and so it was, and the monkey that was inside kept slamming the door, trying to close it. Clong, clong, clong. And this animal's a little angry. Clong, clong. It's feeling a little stressed out because changes happened in this environment. Clong, clong. Finally, one of the guests go and tell the zoo, I think it's an orangutan, which is a large kind of like monkey or ape or like a gorilla kind of thing. And they tell the zoo, and the zoo comes over and they're, oh my goodness, and they close the gate and they lock it. And then the orangutan feels better. Things are normal again. They are predictable again. And he gives several examples like that. One is like of a bear. One of the trees in the bear's cage fell down, so the bear was able to climb out. It was walking around. One of the caregivers or zookeepers saw it. Ah! Dropped some wood, ran away. The bear climbed down. Or the bear didn't run away or escape. It climbed down the tree and went back to its home. Right? And he gives different ideas like this. He said, so if you look at the creature in the zoo and you think, oh, that poor guy's got bars all around him, maybe it feels better and safer in that zoo than out in the wild. Okay, and so he gives just this different opinion, and he says, I know zoos aren't popular nowadays, religion's not popular nowadays, politics isn't popular nowadays, but man, it still might be a good thing, right? In the wild, those guys could die, but in the zoo, they're safe. And he's also making maybe the argument that religion, even though it's unpopular, is maybe still a good thing, or something like that. So he talks about homes, and a zoo is actually more like a home for animals. Certainly just as much as our homes. Oh, you can't see I got my background, but your home is like a home to you, and you wouldn't want to leave that. Chapter 5. He talks about his name. Oh, and he gets this really terrible nickname, Pissing, which is going to the bathroom. If you know number 1 and number 2, number 1, water is going out of your body. Number 2, food is going out of your body. So number 1, pissing. And I think you said he's 12 years old. Someone calls him Pissing Patel, which is not piscine, right? Which is more that French sound, Poussine Patel, but someone Pissing Patel. And oh man, that's really started to hurt his feelings, because people would like be against the wall, maybe in like looking like they're going to the bathroom, and they say, hey, are you pissing? Are you pissing? And they would think, are you Pissing Patel? Poussine Patel. And they'd always make these jokes, and he started to get really embarrassed about his name. Even the teachers started to slip. Instead of piscine, they would say pissing. Oh, and he started to feel that hurt and that pain. But he goes to a new school, and the first day of school, he decides to take control. He is not going to become pissing anymore. So when the teachers are saying their names, and it's Mr. Patel's turn, he stands up. He doesn't even say anything. He stands up, goes to the board, writes down, my name is Pai or Poussine Patel. And he underlines Pai, also known as Pai Patel. And to make the point even further, he does the symbol of pi, which, if you're not a math person, the symbol of, let me draw here. It's like this and like that. That is a math symbol equaling 3.14, I believe. And it continues on for, I think, ever. So that's his name, Pai Patel. And he lets every teacher know that's his name. So when it's attendance, he goes up there and he does it. It gets to the point where the class can even start clapping as he's making it. So his new name is Pai, and everyone calls him Pai. Even some other students become Greek names like Omega or Delta or Gamma, things like that. Chapter 6 is just another description of food, of something being described. And we can guess, maybe it's Mr. Patel again, we don't know. But he's cooking, his home has food all over it, and he makes really great food. That sends us to vocabulary. Incessant means constant, not stopping. I think it's like the colors and the smells of the zoo and the flowers, like they're the powerful smells and the colors. It's constant, it's not stopping. Profusion. Profusion is like abundance, so much. And again, you think of like the smells and the colors of the flowers. There's so many, it's so strong, it's everywhere. The next word here is steel glances. He's talking about like couples, maybe they're like walking on a date, but they're not like boyfriend and girlfriend yet, so they're not holding hands, or maybe they're too young to hold hands in public, but they're walking and they're nervous and they kind of look at each other. Oh man, she's so beautiful. I just want to look at her face and just see how beautiful she is. Just stare at her. And maybe the girl kind of, oh, he's so handsome. Oh, I just wish I could look at him. But they feel too nervous, so they steal these lookings, right? Glance is a quick look. So it's not really stealing, but we use this expression to say like it's a really fast look towards someone attractive, usually, and you're just trying to look at them more quickly. Troop is a group, so there's a group of monkeys. Saunter is a kind of style of slow walking. And there are so many vocabulary words in this chapter. This is chapter 4 mostly. I couldn't write them all. But if you have a question, you can write it in the comments and I'll answer it for you. Unhygienic. Hygienic is clean. You take the dirt off, you brush your teeth, you wash your body. That's hygienic. You clean maybe your fingernails. So unhygienic, like animals, is dirty. Oh man, this is lasciviousness. Lasciviousness? I'm not okay. I'm sure how to pronounce that. My apologies. I don't use the word often. It's this really strong over desire towards like sex, things like that. So in a zoo, these animals, they don't care about people looking or privacy. They're just like, hey, it's business time. I'm gonna do it. Maharaja. A Maharaja is like a Hindu prince or an Indian king, a really big ruler. Menagerie is like a private zoo garden that like a king or queen or a Maharaja would have. You go into their backyard of the palace and there's birds and cages and animals, but it's theirs. We call that a menagerie. It's usually smaller than a zoo. Excrete is your poop. Discordant is not matching. So maybe there's all these yells. I think it's the bats screeching, and they have different wavelengths. The sound, they're not matching. It's not harmony. It's discord. It's different. It's not matching. Obese means fat. So the hippo, I think, is obese. It's very large, very fat. But obese is like a polite way to say it. No one's going to like it if you call them obese, okay? But maybe it's a little gentler way of describing something. Lecherous. Lecherous is like greedy, but more in like in a sexual way of like looking really strongly at someone's appearance or attractiveness. I don't know why a camel has a lecherous look, but that's how he describes camels. Maybe they're looking at your food or something like, I want it. But lecherous has a very sexual feeling to that word. Raiment. Raiment is your clothing, your appearance. And so in the sunset or sunrise, that's when the animals come out and they show all of who they are, right? They're not hiding, they're not sleeping, but at sunset and sunrise is when the zoo kind of comes alive and you can see their appearance, which is clothing, raiment. The next word here is calisthenics. Calisthenics is a kind of exercise of like moving your big muscles in your body. So like walking, probably calisthenics, or maybe doing some stretching, putting down your body, some squats, things like that. When an animal lives in the wild, it's not doing calisthenics. It's trying to survive. Evicted means kicked out. So if you have a house or an apartment and you don't pay money to live there, then the government or the owner will kick you out. They will evict you and they say you can't live here anymore. Tooth and nail. This is a fighting term, right? These animals will fight for their territory, tooth and nail. And this comes from, like, imagine you're a soldier and you're fighting, but you lose your weapon, okay? Or you don't have any more ammunition. You don't have any more ammo to shoot your gun. Are you going to give up? No, you're going to use whatever you can to survive, to fight. Ah! Even if it's tooth and nail. And the last one here, imperceptible modulation, talking about Patel's name. Imperceptible means you almost can't perceive it. You almost can't see it or hear it. But if you concentrate, you can. But it's imperceptible, almost unnoticeable. Okay? Modulation is like a change in the okay, modulate is kind of going up and down as far as the sound. So the teachers, piscine, piscine, pissing, pissing, pissing. Right? They slowly change from piscine to pissing. The almost imperceptible modulation. All right, that leaves us to our discussion question. Have you ever had a nickname you hated or that you liked? And of course, please make your own discussion question. That is all the time that we have for today. But thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Book Club Preview. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.